Hello students, this video is for class 10th chemistry. Today we are beginning with a new chapter, metals and non-metals, that is your chapter 3. There are two parts of the video today. In the first part we'll study about the physical properties of metals and non-metals and reaction of metals with oxygen. Let us first classify elements. Elements, all of you have studied in 9th class that elements are pure substances and which are made up of same kind of atoms, right? Now elements can be classified into three categories. One is metals, another is non-metals, and third is metalloids. Metals and non-metals, all of you are aware of what are metals and what are non-metals. Metalloids are those which are having the properties of both metals and non-metals, right? Now maximum of the elements found on this earth are metals. Almost 92 metals are there. Then non-metals are there, almost 19 non-metals are there, right? And metalloids are there. Now metalloids, boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium and polonium. These are the examples of metalloids. Okay. Now today we are going to study in detail about metals and non-metals, physical properties of metals. Now first of all you should know that metals are also called electropositive elements. Metals are electropositive elements. How do we define metals? Electropositive elements. Why they are known as electropositive elements? Because they have extra electrons. Like suppose I write about sodium. All of you know that the electronic configuration of sodium is 2, 8 and 1. Atomic number is 11 and atomic mass is 23. So this is 2, 8, 1. This one electron, it can give this one electron, and when it gives this one electron it forms a cation. So they form positive ions after losing the electrons, and that is why they are known as electropositive elements, right? Now let us begin with physical properties. Physical properties also you have studied in your previous classes. I am just doing a recap of it. I am doing a comparison of metals and non-metals physical properties. Let us first begin with metals. For metals, all of them are solids. All the metals are solids. You should know about the exceptions. Mercury is an exception, which is a liquid at room temperature. Okay, so they are solids except mercury. Then metals are hard. All of them are hard. The exceptions here are sodium, potassium, lithium. All the alkali metals, lithium, sodium, potassium, they are soft metals. They can be cut even with the knife. Okay. Then all of them are lustrous. Okay, let us compare metals and non-metals. Non-metals on the other hand, non-metals are, they can be solid, they can be liquid, they can be gas. Okay. So non-metals can be solid, like maybe it is carbon, it is sulfur, it is phosphorus, they are solids. Only liquid non-metal is bromine. Bromine is the only liquid non-metal. Then gases, I hope everybody knows about gases, that hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas, nitrogen is a gas, helium, neon, argon, all these gases belong to the category of non-metals. So metals are mostly solids. Only we have one exception of mercury. On the other hand, non-metals can be solid, liquid or gas. Then we come to the next point, that is luster. All the metals are lustrous, that is they have shine on them, right? And non-metals on the other hand are dull in appearance, right? And the exceptions here are iodine and graphite. Iodine and graphite are the examples of the non-metals which have shine. Okay, they are lustrous. Then metals are having high density. They are having high density, but again we have the exceptions which are so light, that is lithium, sodium, potassium. Again these are the exceptions. They have low density and rest of them have high density. Non-metals have low density. All of them have low density. Then the fourth one is that all the metals are sonorous. Sonorous means they produce ringing sound, and your school bells are made up of metal because they are sonorous. They produce a ringing sound. Non-metals are non-sonorous. Then we come to the next one. Metals are malleable and ductile. Malleable means they can be drawn into sheets, and ductile means they can be drawn into wires. And metals are very highly malleable and highly ductile. Okay. Then non-metals are non-malleable, non-ductile. If you try to break non-metals, they are brittle. Non-metals are brittle. Okay. Okay, they cannot be converted into sheets or wires. Then we come to the next one. Metals have high melting and boiling points. Here the exceptions are gallium and cesium. Gallium and cesium are the exceptions which have their melting point is low. Okay, their melting point is low. If you hold it in your palm, then if you have a piece of gallium or cesium and you are holding it in your palm, then naturally they are going to melt, because like gallium has almost 29 is the melting point, 29 degrees Celsius, and cesium has melting point equal to 30 degree Celsius, right? So they have low melting and boiling point. Naturally lithium, sodium, potassium, they are also soft metals. They are also the examples where they have low melting and boiling points. Non-metals have low melting and boiling point. Non-metals have low melting and boiling points, but here the exception is diamond. Diamond is the hardest substance known, and diamond has high melting and boiling point. Okay. Then metals are good conductors of heat. That is why our utensils are made up of metals, because they are good conductors of heat. And metals are also good conductors of electricity. All the metals are good conductors of electricity, and silver is the best conductor of electricity. Then comes your copper. Copper is also a very good conductor of electricity. That is why all the wiring of our homes is of copper. And on the other hand, non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity, but here the exception is graphite. Graphite is a good conductor of electricity. Okay, and that is why the electrodes of the cell, they are made up of graphite. Okay, they are made up of graphite, and graphite and diamond, all of you know that they are the forms of allotropes of carbon. They are the allotropes of carbon, right? So here this is a comparison of the properties. One more thing is we have read about good conductors of heat, silver and gold. They are silver and copper. Silver and copper are good conductors of heat. Silver is a very good conductor of heat. On the other hand, lead and mercury. Here I want to specify that lead and mercury are poor conductors of heat. Okay. So this is the comparison. Now we come to the next one. That is chemical properties of metals. Chemical properties, the first one is a reaction with oxygen. Okay, for a general equation, if I write here, metal when reacts with oxygen forms metal oxide. Okay, metal oxide is formed. Now here it depends upon the reactivity of the metal. Means if the metal is more reactive, like sodium and potassium. Sodium and potassium are highly reactive metals. So when they react with oxygen, they may catch fire, and that is why they are always stored in kerosene. This question is also important from the exam point of view, that why it is stored, why these metals are stored in kerosene, to prevent the accidental fires. Okay. Then and if you want to write the equation, then naturally sodium reacts with oxygen to form sodium oxide, Na2O. This type of reactions would be there. Now after this comes magnesium, aluminium, zinc and lead. These metals, when you keep them in air, when you keep them in open, then they are going to react with the oxygen, and they get covered by a thin layer of oxide. They get covered by a thin layer of oxide, and that layer behaves as a protective layer and it prevents further oxidation. Once this layer is formed on the metal, it prevents further oxidation. Okay. For example, let us talk about, okay, let us first do some reactions here. If you have to magnesium, it also gets covered by a thin layer of oxide, as I said. But if you want to burn magnesium in oxygen, then what you have to do is you have to remove this thin layer of oxide with the help of sandpaper, and then you can do the reaction. You can burn this magnesium in presence of oxygen. You have to heat this, and then what is formed is magnesium oxide is formed. Okay. In this way, these oxides are formed, and these oxides are basic in nature. Now, how would we decide that these are basic in nature? See, this sodium oxide, suppose this sodium oxide is there. If you add this to water, okay, if you react it with water, then what is formed is sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide, you know that sodium hydroxide is alkali. Okay, it is a soluble base. So this is basic in nature. We can say that metal oxides are basic in nature. All the metal oxides are basic in nature. You can see one more reaction. K2O reacts with water, potassium oxide. It reacts with water and forms 2KOH. Okay, this reaction is there. Now this is again an alkali. KOH, potassium hydroxide, is an alkali. So all the metal oxides are basic in nature, but there are few examples which are amphoteric in nature. Some of the oxides are amphoteric in nature. This is also a very important topic from the point of view of your exams. Amphoteric oxides are those which show both acidic and basic behavior, both acid and basic character. Okay, let us see how. There are two examples of oxides. One is aluminium oxide, Al2O3. Okay, Al2O3 and zinc oxide. Aluminium oxide and zinc oxide. You will understand it with the help of equations. Suppose aluminium oxide is reacted with HCl, then it forms AlCl3, aluminium chloride, plus water is formed. Now here in this reaction, this is acid, and here this aluminium oxide is behaving as a base. So acid plus base gives you salt plus water, and this is your neutralization reaction. So here aluminium oxide is behaving as a base. In another reaction, Al2O3, if it is reacted with a base, suppose it is reacted with NaOH, then it forms NaAlO2. The name of this is sodium aluminate. Sodium aluminate plus water is formed. So here this is a base and aluminum oxide is acting as an acid here. So acid plus base gives you salt plus water. So again neutralization reaction, and here aluminum oxide is behaving as an acid. So you should know, sometimes the question comes that with the help of an equation prove the acidic nature of aluminum oxide or basic nature, then you have to write these equations. I am writing for zinc oxide also. Zinc oxide plus HCl will give you ZnCl2, salt plus water. So here naturally it is behaving as a base, and zinc oxide plus NaOH, if the reaction is like this, then it forms Na2ZnO2. Sodium zincate is the name plus water. So here it is behaving as acid. Okay, so aluminum oxide and zinc oxide, both of them are amphoteric oxides which can behave as acid as well as base. Now next is next in the series come copper. Copper actually doesn't burn, but it gets coated with a black colored layer of copper oxide. If the reaction of copper is done, then copper is, it reacts with oxygen and forms copper oxide, which is black in color. Okay, and iron actually doesn't burn, but if you sprinkle the fillings of iron on the flame, then it may burn, but otherwise it doesn't get burned. So copper also doesn't burn. And then there is one process which is known as anodizing. We were talking about the metals getting covered by a thin layer of oxygen, thin layer of oxide. Now anodizing is actually an artificial process, means in this process what is done is a thick layer of oxide, thick oxide layer is formed, thick oxide layer is formed on aluminium articles. So here what is done is electrolysis is done. In electrolysis, the electrolyte taken here is dilute sulfuric acid, dilute H2SO4 is taken here, and any article which you want to anodize. Okay, suppose this is an aluminium article. Okay, this is an aluminium spoon and you want this aluminium spoon to be anodized, then you have to take it at anode. Anode means positive electrode. You have to connect it with the positive terminal of the battery, and here on the negative electrode you can take a lead rod here. Okay, suppose this is PB, and then the current is passed through this. The electrolysis process occurs, and during this process oxygen gas is evolved, and this oxygen goes at anode, and this aluminium spoon gets a coating of oxide layer, and this is known as anodizing. Anodizing actually brings a shine to the article, to the utensil which you are doing, and nowadays these anodized articles are very famous, and you must have heard of it. So this is known as anodizing, covering a thick oxide layer on aluminium articles, okay, is known as anodizing. Thank you.